We tell you what, we've got our board meeting tonight, but maybe I'll just turn it over to you first to see if you have any questions of me, because I know we've got a couple of things that aren't on the board docket tonight that you may be interested in. One is the reconvening of the community engagement process for redrawing district boundaries, and two might be any questions that you would have on the graduation information that we put out last week. So why don't I just turn it over to questions?
Hi, Superintendent. This is Ray from Kelowna. With the graduation, you have basically three alternatives. What's going to be some of the criteria for determining, gosh, we're going to do in June or we're going to do this in July?
Yep. Well, the first thing we know we're going to do is the virtual on May 24th, so we know that's going to happen. And then it is that the June, the end of June, what will that decision, what will go into making that decision? And really, we will lean heavily on our partnerships with the medical community. Luckily, in Sioux Falls, those are strong, but we also have the Department of Health, who we work closely with. We have city health officials who we work closely with. And then, at least for us here in the Sioux Falls School District, we have very good access to folks at Sanford and Avera. And so we will tap into all of those sources prior to making any decisions on whether or not that the June date is a go, and if it's not, whether or not the July date is a go. I suppose after that, then, we should probably talk to our friends in the meteorology departments to make sure that we have good weather for those events as well.
Thank you.
Dr. Maher, Mark Russo, Keller Radio News. I just wonder, is your crystal ball still cloudy, or is there some clarity at all that one could talk about a normal beginning of the new school year coming up in the fall, or what?
Yeah, it's still really cloudy. I think the most recent news gives us some reason for optimism, and we will have one of the things we'll have at the board meeting tonight is a calendar prepared for next year that begins right there in the I forget the exact day, right in the August 20s. We're late August start there, and that's still our hope. So it's certainly a goal, but the same factors that I identified in terms of being able to have a graduation in-person ceremony will dictate whether or not we have a face-to-face start for the school year. If we don't, there are a couple of things that I see as direct options. One is a start that's after Labor Day. As a school district, we're fortunate that we have some recent experience with school starts after Labor Day, so we think we could adjust to that fairly quickly. If 2 or 3 weeks is what we need, we will be able to make that adjustment fairly quickly. The thing that we don't know is what if we would have to do some sort of remote start. And quite frankly, I think that would be more problematic than jumping into remote learning in the middle of March like we did. At least in the middle of March, we had all the relationships that were in place between teachers and students and between teachers and families. And a lot of things were in place that wouldn't be in place at the beginning of the school year. Checking out the technology would be far more difficult. It'd be a lot tougher circumstance. So I have no doubt that we would be able to do that and do that in a meaningful way. I don't know what that would look like today. I don't know exactly how we would implement a remote start to the school year. So we're ready for two eventualities. One is the normal start. Two would be the post-Labor Day start. Beyond that, we're still going to need to do a lot of planning.
At least you got it on paper in August anyway.
Right.
Dr. Maher, Sam Wright with News Now. Kind of adding on to that question, has there been any conversation with you and your successor in terms of what she's dealing with and, kind of putting the pieces together with this in the next school year?
Yep, there sure has been. I'm fortunate that I've known Dr. Stavum for got to be over 20 years, and I've actually had a very good relationship with her for the last many years. So we actually talk somewhat frequently, and I feel very good about the transition that we'll be able to put together. Just this morning, I talked to my senior level staff about Dr. Stavum being included as we get into May. Dr. Stavum being included in many of our conversations, and the transition will be one of she'll be kept up to speed with what our planning process is. I'll still make decisions. June 30 will be my last day. July 1 will be her first day. And at that point in time, our roles will essentially flip. I'll be available for her whenever she needs me. She's had my cell phone number for a lot of years, and so I will still answer when she calls. And so anytime in July or thereafter, I'll be ready for any questions she may have of me. But what we want to do is really ramp up her understanding of the decisions we're making and her beginning to develop those relationships that will be so crucial to her effectiveness as a superintendent. So we'll begin that here actually in about a week. We have had several conversations, but now I need to expand her influence onto the senior leadership team here. There's a very intentional way that we're going to make that happen, and most of that has been put in place by Dr. Stavum. She's very detail-oriented, and I think she'll just do a tremendous job in terms of handling the situation that we're in and handling the transition that needs to take place. Do we have any other questions?
Election date, is that on the agenda tonight as far as finalizing something with that, or what's the?
Yep, it is. We'll match up with the city election. So that's just something that we would have done and something that we will do.
I want to follow up on the capital projects that are being planned. Looks like your bids as a whole were under. Does that allow you to add anything, or does it just create a cushion that you put back into the improvement fund for the rest of the year, or can you add anything now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think at this point what it does is it just says, just as you stated, Ray, I think we're in very good shape for the projects that we've bid to this point. Now it's a question of what else happens. At what point in time do we have something that comes in over budget? But really, what it tells us right now is that our bottom line's in very good shape for our capital improvement funds. But we do not have anything that we intend to add, at least right away, in regard to that. There's still too much building, too much constructing to do yet for us to get too excited about any extra, and I just put air quotes around extra in my office here, any extra funds that we may have as a result of these bids.
And you've mentioned before that COVID really hasn't negatively impacted construction at this point. It doesn't appear to have negatively impacted your bids either.
We're still in very good shape with the whole construction project. Everything from those projects that are part of the bond implementation to those projects that are just part of us taking care of our facilities in a manner that the city would expect from us. Everything's gone along very well, and construction is moving along. Weather has cooperated, and the workforce has still been able to be maintained. So at this point in time, we're still in very good shape with our construction projects. Anybody that wants to will be able to see a flyover of both Ben Rifle Middle School and Thomas Jefferson High School at the board meeting tonight, and then after that release, we'll put that drone footage on our website as well.
And then the boundaries, the meetings, those are virtual. What did you have to do to any capacity that you had to add as far as people sending in questions, or how are you handling that?
Yeah, that's a good question too. We have had to add some capacity, and to overly simplify that, the capacity is takes on the form of an operator. So we'll have a way for folks to call in and to get in a queue to provide feedback to the information that we have on our website for folks to look at in terms of potential boundaries that are already drawn, and then they can call in and talk about other options that they would like to see, affirming the options that they see, or giving us feedback that says I don't have another plan, but I'd like something different. So we expect that opinions will vary widely as to what that looks like, and we will listen to as many folks as we can listen to. The one thing that takes on a little different form in this virtual format is that we had it set up before where we would go to one middle school and go to each of our middle schools in the school district, and that gave us a little bit of a geographic flavor. We were to start at Memorial Middle School, and so the folks in the western portion of our community we expected would show up there, even though anybody could. We expected the folks from the west would predominantly take over that meeting. The difference that we have now is I think we're more accessible to anybody from anywhere in the community calling in at any time. So we may get somebody from the west, and then somebody from the east, and somebody from the north, and you get the idea. So I don't think it'll be specific to one piece of the plan. Rather, we'll get information on the total plan, which may be a very good thing. The other thing that I would say is we'll have 5 of those meetings, and it's possible we won't get to all of the callers in that first meeting, but hopefully in the course of 5 meetings, we will get to everybody's issues. So I think there's good and bad with it. We're not going to be able to be face-to-face. We're not going to be able to see body language. But the good news is it'll be streamed live on K-Learn TV, and we'll also be on our YouTube channel. So anybody can watch it live and can stay up to date on the conversations that we're having. And we'll be able to make adjustments between meetings, and we'll have 5 of those. At the end of those 5 community engagement meetings, we'll reconvene the task force that originally had met back in January and February to kick this process off and bring them back together for closure on their portion. And then all of the information will go to our Board of Education for a June deliberation and then June 22nd decision. So we think we've still accounted for everything that we could account for, except for the face-to-face portion of the communication. So we think we're still on that end of June time frame for making decisions.
Thank you.
Dr. Maher, Kelly Conlon, just wanted to double check. The last task force meeting, is that May 26th or May 24th?
May 26th. The May 26th is the Tuesday after Memorial Day. Did you see somewhere where we put out May 24th, Shelley?
Yes, sir. It does say that in the press release. I just wanted to verify to make sure we had the right date.
Yeah. No, we will not be meeting on that Sunday. We will be meeting on Tuesday, May 26th at 7 p.m. with the task force. Thanks for pointing that out. Any other questions?
I'm good.
Yep. I'm good as well.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I hope everybody has some opportunity to get out and enjoy this weather. And we'll talk again soon. Thanks all.